Thank you for tuning into the channel. On this episode, we are going to do a full review of the Lost RNF 96. Thank you all for tuning in. If you haven't already, click down here and subscribe. I have my guest host here with me today, Brett Hill. Brett, good to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Brett, style master, really good surfer. Brett, you want to give the fans a little bit of your background?
So born and raised Florida, came up here maybe 6-7 years ago, born again local here in Jersey, couldn't get enough of it.
I would put your skill level definitely in that advanced. I would say you rip.
Thanks, brother.
What's your height and weight?
I am 5'7" and 160 pounds. This one I got, I was young, little Grom, probably 15, bought it used from my cousin. That was a 5'2", and I rode that board for years. Definitely one of my favorite boards. Unfortunately broke that one, and then I picked this one up here in 2015, and that's a 5'5", 19 1/4, the classic RNF.
The OG.
And I absolutely love this one. And then I've got a Step Up, which is a 5'8", that's got glassed ins, 2+1 setup, and that's something that I ride on a day that's got a little bit more punch.
Awesome.
But yeah, the go-to for me has got to be the 5'5".
For those of you that are new to the channel, I am 5'11" and 175 to 180 pounds. And I rode both the Lightspeed and the PU RNFs in the stock 5'7" dimensions, which are 5'7", 20 by 2.44, and it's like 30.7 liters. So it's kind of at the lower end of my literage spectrum. I don't think liters is necessarily the Bible to go by.
Yeah, and I get that. And I think with the 5'5", you know, as I've gotten a little bit older, I think this one's just under 27 liters. I think it's 26.9, and it is a little bit on the smaller side as far as liters go for me.
Yep.
Which just means, you know, I got to paddle a little bit harder, but once I'm up and it's underneath my feet, it really feels good as far as, you know, control.
Yeah.
And being able to like be skatey with it and quick. So
yep.
It's nice to ride it a little bit smaller, but when I ride the other one that I've got, the 5'8", that one's PU, this one's Firewire, and the PU that's got a little bit more foam to it is definitely good when you got, you know, you need that paddle power.
Yep. So that's one of the things about this board that I've found, and I don't know if you can say the same, but I feel like they're not the greatest paddlers, but they catch waves really good, if
100%.
that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally get that. Well, they're real wide in the nose,
yeah.
So as long as you're keeping your head down and you're paddling hard, sometimes you need an extra paddle or two to really get into it, I would say, but once you're on it, you're good.
Yeah.
Good to go.
Like I wouldn't enjoy paddling it jetty to jetty.
No.
But to physically get into waves, it's pretty easy to catch the actual wave, you know? And like you said, I think it's that volume forward. Just an overview of it. The outline, it's got a ton of curve to it.
Right.
So it's not like exaggerated rocker, but there's like curve throughout the whole entire board.
Definitely, yeah. If you lay it flat on the ground, you can see the tail and the nose are definitely up. And I think that helps a lot when it comes to getting it vertical.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, they pivot really well.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about fins.
The first set of fins I used in that 5'2" when I was younger was just a regular thruster setup, which really worked out well. And then when I picked this board up, I rode it as a thruster for many years, and then ended up going with a set of MRs, the 2+1s, which I ended up, you got a set right here. I ended up absolutely loving these fins in that board, man. It really gave it that drive and the skatey feeling. You're able to hold a rail, but when you want to blow the tail out, you can just step on it a little bit and the tail will come out. These were super fun for me just because of the speed you could get, and having a larger fin in a smaller board like this, the rail you can hold is just awesome.
Yeah, and I'd say for a 2+1 set, like the center fin in these is on the smaller side.
Definitely.
So maybe like a lot more release. I actually didn't ride mine as a thruster, and I like mentally kind of refused to, just because the way the fin cluster is, like that center fin and the leading fins are brought in tighter.
Yep.
The idea is to ride as a twin or a 2+1.
Have you ever tried riding it as a twin?
No.
I have, and I wasn't a fan of it.
No, too loose?
It was too loose, yep. Yeah, I had a tough time with it as a twin fin one day.
So I really like that you liked the MRs, because I've heard a lot of people liking them, and a lot of you out there may like these. I'd say maybe a lighter footed surfer.
Yep.
I actually did not like the MRs in my RNF. I
No?
just felt like it had too much pivot. And just generally, I like a more raked fin. FCS2s, I use the MF 2+1 set, which definitely has more rake on the leading edge, but more pivot in the back.
Yeah.
And I rode these in the light speed, and they were great. Like,
Hold a little bit better.
hold a lot better, like great down the line speed.
Yeah, it's super fast.
Yes.
No doubt
super
about
fast.
that.
And then I actually developed my own future set for the RNF and the PU in collaboration with Unda Finco.
Shout out James.
Yeah, shout out James Reel at Unda Surf. We'll put his Instagram handle down below. I took the tip idea kind of from the Scimitars and from the MF, so it has that squared off tip. But the shape itself is based loosely off of an AM2, so it has more surface area, a lot more rake. There is nothing like this out there on the market. This is a 100%. I drew it by hand on a piece of paper and gave it to James to make. And we came up with 2 prototypes, and this was the best one. So we're going to say this is the pre-release for these fins. If you're interested in getting this 2+1 set, yeah, the center fin also has a lot more surface area.
Yep.
So the fin set is great. I actually rode this fin set in Hawaii at Pipeline, Ala Moana Bowls, smaller Haleiwa, and it went incredible. Like, this is my favorite set of fins for this board.
I'll have to try them out.
Definitely. But yeah, like I was saying, if you are interested in ordering a set of these, we will call this the pre-order. We'll gauge your interest, and if you would like more information, reach out to us on Instagram, and we'll get back to you. But another 2+1 set that I rode in the futures in the PU was the Scimitar Reverse 3.2. The smallest conditions you're gonna ride this board to maybe like waist high, chest high, and mushy, I would throw these in for futures. And then anything pockety, punchy, thigh high and bigger, I would ride the JMT.
The Undas, yeah.
FCS2, my recommendation for a heavier footed surfer is the Mick Fanning 2+1s.
The larges.
Yeah, I really like them.
In this one now, I ride Glen Pang's.
I was looking at those, they have a little bit more rake at the tip.
Yep,
so
right at
it's
the tip.
upright at the base and it rakes out
Yep.
at the tip a little bit.
Yeah, but I really love them. You know, it's a very similar feeling to the MR.
Okay.
You can still, you know, get as much speed as you want. You could run away from the wave, and then you could also really lay into it, get a
Yep.
nice dialed, you know, turn or carve, and then you can also blow the tail out. You know, if you just move your weight around.
Yep. And now we'll dive into the good things that this board does. We said catches waves really well.
Yep,
Wouldn't call it a good paddler, but catches waves well.
definitely.
It's fast.
The speed is like unmatched. I couldn't tell you how many times I've popped up on this board and like pumped down the line and completely like missed the whole wave because I'm just looking at the next section down the beach because I get so much speed off of it.
Yeah.
And it's
super
very,
fast.
very skatey, you know. It's good for pumping, you know, if you need to get going fast,
Yeah.
that board's the
I
one.
think with how compact the package is,
Yep.
it's so much easier to pump. You know,
100%.
you don't have a lot out front.
Yep.
I would say this board, so far out of all the boards I've reviewed, is one of the best for like really tight pockets.
Oh, yeah.
Like if it's dumpy and the wave has a lot of curve,
Definitely.
but it's kind of on the smaller side.
Yep.
It just fits the curve of a tight pocket so well.
Yep. I can totally agree with that. I've had this out on many a days where it's just top to bottom dumping, and this board, you know, once you're up and you're in that pocket, you're just absolutely flying through there.
Yep. Handles late drops really well.
Very well.
With the rounder front
Yep.
and really like again shorter package.
Yep.
Late drops, it's like you could airdrop anything, I feel like, and the way the back end is, it's like a high performance shortboard tail,
Yep.
and it
Yeah,
holds.
it's real pulled in, yeah.
So the tail holds while you're like free falling and
Yep.
you set,
And then
it
you just set that rail and you're right
yeah.
in there.
Part of the goods, you're claiming your favorite board of all time.
I would happily say that. You know, I've had 3 of them, or had 3 of them.
Yep.
And if I ever have a day where I'm like, man, I don't know what board to ride, I always toss this one in the van. You know, like it's always in my quiver.
Yep.
It always has the fins in it. I'm always ready to ride it. But it's great for everything. You know, you can ride it in double overhead, and you can ride it in knee-high waves. You know,
Yeah.
it's whatever you need it for, it'll rip.
Yep, for real. Another good thing, if you're going on a trip and you're traveling, just throw it in your bag.
Yeah.
I just spent 2 weeks on the North Shore in April, And this is my most used board out there. I used it at like small pipeline.
Yep.
Used it at Ala Bulls. Used it at smaller Haleiwa. Used it at Aukai Sandbar.
Okay.
Like really just
Ala would be so fun on this thing, dude.
We'll dive into the bad things or like needs improvement areas. I think that if you're not used to it, like there's a large adjustment period. I think I was telling you my first couple sessions, felt like every time I popped up, my feet were in the wrong spot.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah, so it was like, I had some definitely golden moments in those first couple sessions, but like it really took me a lot to adjust to.
Yeah, I will say I rode this board for many years with a stomp pad on it.
Yeah.
And then I damaged the board and pulled the pad off, and I've been riding it without a pad ever since. And I think I like the board better without a pad.
Being able to move your feet around.
Yeah, being able to move your feet around, and like, you don't necessarily know like where the back of the board is like you do with a pad.
Yeah.
But this one, like you're saying, with the adjustments of the feet, like if you need to skate and get through a section, you pull your feet up a little bit and you're going. And then the second you need to slow down and make a turn, you take a little step back, get on that tail, and this thing turns on a dime.
Sinks in really well.
Yeah.
If you watch the Rad Rip review, I kind of did a comparison between Lightspeed and PU, and I picked the PU over the Lightspeed for the Rad Ripper. But for the RNF, I don't know if it's like a good batch or something, but I liked these kind of equally, but for different stuff. If it's a weaker, mushier wave, I would definitely pick the Lightspeed just for the added buoyancy.
Right.
I would say like if you're going on a trip for really good waves, the PU for sure.
Yeah.
I brought my PU to Hawaii. I did not bring my Lightspeed, and then I brought my PU to Costa Rica. Just handle stronger waves a little bit better, I think.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, my 5.8 is PU, and you can definitely tell like a difference. Well, it being 5.8, you know, being a little bit longer and drawn out more so than this one, you can definitely feel the flex a little bit more than you would in like the Firewire.
Yeah.
If I had to pick, I would probably just stick with like a Firewire or a EPS of some sort, just for the durability.
That is one of my bad things, is that the stock PU RNF 96s are glassed super light.
Yeah, the glassing is
very
light. Yeah.
Special thank you to our viewers, Mike Primanti for the Lightspeed construction, and for Ryan Sininsky for the PU. Met both these guys on marketplaces, and that's how I came into these boards. So thank you guys for your support. But when I got this one, it was only like, it was used, you know, fairly used. And it was like 1 or 2 sessions and the stringer was popping out.
Oh, man.
So I had to put a patch over it. But
really?
Yeah, they are glass super light, but it's also a good thing, and I think that's what gives it kind of its zip.
Oh, 100%.
Both of these constructions are really light, and I was feeling your TimberTech is super light. I guess real quick, you have a Lost Pisces?
I do. I just picked it up.
How would you compare this to the Pisces?
So the Pisces I have is 5.6. It's definitely a little bit wider than this board, and I don't think it's as pulled in at the tail as the RNF is.
Yep.
The Pisces just as fast, you know, as this board, if not maybe a little bit faster. But to compare it to the RNF, I would say it's more so family friendly in a way.
I think it's flatter rockered, right?
It does have less rocker, yeah.
And like you said, a little bit more width in the tail.
A little bit more width.
They had that wing in it to loosen it up.
The wing definitely loosens it up. I don't think I could say that I like it more than the RNF.
It's different.
Yeah, but I've been riding an RNF, you know, for over 10 years. So.
Yeah, so we could do potentially 2 episodes. We could do a comparison episode and a review on the Pisces.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Anyone from Lost, if you can make that happen, that would be greatly appreciated.
Matt.
All right, so just to conclude, I'll put like in the 3 to 6 inch shorter than your shortboard.
Yep.
Upper end intermediate to expert surfers.
Yep.
Yeah. For beginner surfers, it might be a good option, but get it a little bit longer, like maybe your height or 2 inches bigger than your height.
Yeah. Yep.
Still be able to paddle it, user friendly, still be able to turn it.
Yep.
It won't be like a fun shape.
It's a great board to just have in your quiver.
Yes.
You know, if you buy an RNF, you're not gonna be like, oh, I shouldn't have bought this.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna enjoy the board.
Yeah. And then we'll put it like, take it out of the groveler category and kind of put it in the alternative craft for good waves.
Or high performance fish.
Yeah, high performance
if that's
fish
a category.
for sure.
You
Super
know.
high performance board.
Yeah.
Definitely. I would say like thigh high and bigger.
Yeah.
And like
definitely.
Anything as comfortable as you are on the board is how big you can ride.
Yep.
Other than that, I just want to thank you all for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you
Brett.
for having me,
Yeah,
dude.
thanks
This
for
was a
coming along.
blast. I'm happy to be here, man. I can't wait to do another.
Yeah, we got tons more boards to
Yeah,
go through.
do the
so.
Pisces. Yeah, maybe an excuse to buy another board.
Yes. Huge thank you to Morgan Downs for everything he does for us. Huge thank you to Brett for stealing my fins. And thank you to Mike Permanti and Ryan Sininsky for getting me on these two boards. So thank you all, and we'll see you on the next episode.